and welcome to Mental Health Mondays, where we talk about all the different things that support your mental health and wellness. My name is Jenna Kelland. I'm a holistic mental wellness coach and mom of 3 kids with special needs. I have been through burnout myself and have a good understanding of what it's like to experience and deal with mental health challenges, as well as a lot of the strategies that we can use to support our health and wellness. And I think it's great to think about all the different things that are part of mental health and wellness. There's not just one tool we have in our toolkit, so it's important to explore them all. So today we have with us, our guest is Lori Chenger, who is a clinical hypnotherapist and NLP practitioner. And Lori is going to share a little bit about her experiences and what she does that can help support good mental health. So welcome, Lori. It's great to have you with us.
Hi, Jenna. Yeah, great to be here too.
All right. So why don't you start by telling me a little bit about what you do and why you do what you do?
Okay, well, I am a clinical hypnotherapist and an NLP practitioner. I also study Hikomi, which is mind-body healing, and I'm a Qigong facilitator. And Qigong is a wonderful avenue for any age, children, seniors, people living with dementia, Alzheimer's, because there is a healing process within it as well. And it can be a very good addition to yoga for our yoga enthusiasts. So that's really good too. We talk a lot about eating healthy, and we forget about feeding ourselves with healthy words.
Okay.
So that's really good that, it's mental health, right? And I got into this whole field through my own life experiences. I grew up in a family of poverty and addictions. And I really learned that to empower myself, I needed to change the story of me. And when I changed the story of me, my life trajectory changed. And so I'm also working part-time, and I teach an addictions program. So everything, we're also interconnected, mind, body, soul, and spirit. And it's so important to remember to feed our lives with positive things. We focus on 3 things, really. What we focus on, we feel. And there's 3 patterns of habit that go along with that. We focus on what we have, we focus on what we can control, and we focus on either our past or present or our future. And so we really have to look at what is it that we're focusing on at any given time, because that becomes our habit. So where do you focus on the most? The best place to focus on is the present, because that creates your future joy. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And these are things that we hear all the time, but we don't practice it, right? I had a discussion actually this morning with one of my students, and I was, alluding to something saying, well, we have to shift our thoughts and we have to find things to be positive about. And somebody said, oh, but that's a real challenge. And I said, well, if you back that up, how is it that you don't find thinking about negative things to be a challenge? And they went, oh, well, that's interesting. And I said, because we practice it so many times that we're wired that way to think about what is not working. The media, the news tells us what is not working, and it becomes habit and it becomes second nature. So then you ask yourself then, well, okay, if I'm not focusing on something positive and I find, well, this is a challenge, that means I'm not doing enough of it. And it's just that simple shift to make us realize if I do more of it, well, it becomes second nature to me. And then my life has a totally different outlook. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's if thinking negatively or focusing on problems does come easy, probably because we do that more. So it
Right.
makes sense that changing that it's a new behavior to learn. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and to sit in quiet, because what's really interesting is the words silent and listen both have the same letters. So we need to sit quiet and listen, listen to ourselves, listen to those inner thoughts, and really focus on what you're focusing on, right? Um, We there's a really good thing to do for breathing to help you shut down the world for a little bit, and that's the 4-7-8 technique. Have you heard of that?
I've heard of lots of breathing ones. I don't remember the details of that one, but
Well,
there
this
you
is
tell
really
us.
good for children as well, because what you do is you breathe in to the count of 4. So you're breathing in, going 1, 2, 3, 4. You hold that breath to the count of 7, and then you release it to the count of 8 so that you get that really deep breath out and the really deep breath in. And you do that for 4 times, 4 cycles, and that really resets your parasympathetic nervous system, right? So it's a really good way to think, to back up from the moment and say, okay, I can do this, right? And one of the things that I kind of like to talk about, especially with everything that's happening right now, is our children. And our children are grieving, and we don't recognize that, right? They've lost their friends, they've lost relatives because maybe they're in isolation, because maybe they have grandparents that are in centers. So if you look at grieving as an acronym, the G is to give them attention, okay, and recognize that they have a story and they're interpreting what we're telling them. So I like to use it as an analogy of cold and hot. So if we're parents and we're up here and we're thinking worry and we're thinking stress and we're thinking anger, think of that as cold thoughts. And what happens with cold? It goes down. And who does it go down to? Our children that are around us. And then the children are, internalizing all of these expressions, these feelings for the adults. They don't know how to verbally express it, and they explode because it rises. So the heat rises, right? And then it shows up in their behaviors. So the G again is to give attention, right, to the child and not the problem. Stop talking about the COVID for a while, right? Talk about what is real and what is still true for them. The R is to rest and relax. Again, take that space from really monitoring your conversation around, oh, it's isolation. Oh, I don't like this. And we're creatures of habit. We don't realize what we're saying all the time. The I is for that inner healing, and that can be both for the parents and for the children. The E is for embrace. We really need hugs. We need to be nurturing, right? And we need that touch. It's so important. And then the F is faith. So have faith in your children, have faith in that you are okay, and do a check-in with your kids and see where they're at. A couple of really good activities to help children with this is you take a heart, you draw a picture of a heart, and younger ones who maybe cannot write yet, you can section off the heart and have them choose colors and fill in their heart with these colors, and then talk to them about what does this color mean to you and how can we make your heart feel better. For children who are a little bit older who can write, again, you draw the heart and you section off the pieces of the heart. You have it fill them with words. What does my heart need? Right? And so maybe the words are going to put in are sad or angry or frustration. And then you can build a whole story around that and say, well, what do I need to do? What can we do to help heal that? And so then I made an acronym for heart. So the H stands for we need help. How do I teach my children to ask and to communicate when we don't even know sometimes, right? The E is for our ears. What is it that we as children need to hear from our parents? Okay. The A, again, are for arms. We need your arms as parents to support us, to hold our hands, to give us that hug, to give us that human touch. The R, again, is to rest from what is happening in our outside world. Our outside world does not define us, okay? And then the T is tell the children the truth. Give them enough that they can handle so that they have a takeaway. A while ago, I wrote a book called D is for Dementia. And in that book, because it's so difficult for people to tell children about dementia that is happening within a family, I took the universal symbol of a traffic light and red, green, and yellow, and I showed it with pictures about the signals of being mixed up. And that's all they needed to be able to make sense of it. And so take what is your worry, whatever is stressing you, and give them something to hold on to that's concrete so they can make sense of it and form a picture of it, so that from there they have an internal dialogue.
Yeah, I think that's powerful to tell kids what's going on in a way that's appropriate for their age and understanding. But instead of leaving them to kind of create their own idea of what's happening, to give them something that's accurate and information to base that on, instead of wondering why everybody's upset or why things are the way they are. Mhm.
And we don't realize, how we're using words sometimes. For example, we'll tell children, you can't go play with your friends, you might catch something. Well, what do children equate that to, right? Well, I'm going to catch a ball, I'm going to catch this. Well, you might give them something. Why are they giving me something bad? Right? And
Mhm.
so it's just really monitoring the language of our words and making it user friendly for our children too. And it brings so much peace in very simple steps.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful to think about what we're saying and how we're communicating to our kids. Thank you. That's good to think about. Um, and to remember to check in and see what they need and ask them. Your heart activity does that, about how they can communicate what they need or what they're feeling. Because you're right, they might not have the words or they might not know what they need, but they might be able to communicate with you what they're feeling, or something that you can then use to help them,
Right.
because they are learning through this as well. This is an opportunity for them to learn to identify their feelings, or to express what they need, or to ask for support, and things that are really important too.
Exactly. And it's not intentional, but we don't always think about it in our lives as parents, right? To get them to correspond the thought with an action and the feeling, right? And
Mhm.
we think, oh, well, that's kind of like counselor stuff. I don't want to do that and go there, right? But it's so important to do that, and it's that connection that you have with your children that makes them feel safe. And this is what we're all needing right now, is to feel safe. And how do we create that?
Yeah, and I think that comes back to like the theme of mental wellness, is that we need to feel safe and supported and loved and cared for, that those are so important to our mental health and well-being.
Especially when, as children, we learn through sensory motor actions. That's how we define who we are, right? And if we're defining who we are by the parents' worry and stress and anxiety, what's their trajectory going to look like in the future,
Mhm,
right?
mhm. All right. Well, you've shared some great strategies and such. Was there any other suggestions you have that people can kind of use, or tools that you wanted to share today?
No, I just really like the deep breathing technique. You can lock it in. In hypnotherapy, we do different things that are called anchors. And so if you have a child, think about something that gives them great pleasure. In that moment, just have them make the okay sign. And that serves as a circuit to lock in that feeling within your body. So whenever they're stressed, all they have to do is this, and there's that sense of peace that comes back, and they can make a game out of it too. There is a longer version of that, but that works just as well too.
Yeah, and with kids, you need quick things sometimes.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. So, Lori, you told me you had a gift to share with people today, or some resources. What would that be?
Yes, I have some PDF files and activities to do based on a children's book that I have coming out. You don't need the book in order to be able to do the activities. And I will also include these activities that I've talked about today. So they'll be free PDFs. So you can email me at Lori, Lori, at echo, ECHOOFYES.com.
All
And
right,
I'll be happy to send those out to you.
all right. That's echo of yes. So,
Correct.
all right, work on the spelling, and I'll make sure that information is included for people as well.
The S is for your empowered success.
Ah, that's great. You like acronyms, I can tell.
I do. It's such a great way to learn. And as you can see in my background, I'm still kind of in teaching mode. So I think that's where all those acronyms came for. But, it's such a great way, again, to take the mental pause, right?
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. All right. And one of the things I like to ask people, because I like reading and learning, is do you have a favorite book to share?
Oh, one of my favorite books is The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. It's rather a deep read, but I really enjoy that. And the second one that I really like is a book by Og Mandino. He's a very interesting author, and he's written a book called The Greatest Secret in the World. And if I give it away a little bit, there's a beautiful story about it. And then the beautiful ending to it is that you're the greatest secret in the world. You're the
Mm.
greatest gift to give to life. And it's a really powerful book. And that one's a really easy read. And, it's very easy to get hooked on Og Mandino. So,
All right, I'll check that one out. It's sometimes good to have those reminders, and I think we learn well through story. So sometimes hearing a
yes,
story is more powerful than somebody just stating something directly. So there's power in
exactly.
story.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Lori, and sharing some of your strategies for helping kids deal with some of the stress that we might be feeling. And I'm sure this is things that go well beyond pandemic and COVID challenges, but just really checking into with your kids and seeing how they're feeling and helping them to support their own mental health as well.
Exactly. Thank you so much for inviting me today.
Thanks, Lori. So thanks for
Okay.
watching. I invite you to join us again next week on Mental Health Mondays, where we'll be sharing more strategies for looking at all the different things that we can do that support our mental health and wellness. Take care and be well.